Hi, Nate here from Blend Marketing. Excited to dive into part 5 of our 7-part video series on growing revenue through direct bookings. So in the last video, we spent some time thinking through how to build our social media strategy to drive direct bookings, looking at customers' behavior, basically following our process, looking at our customers' behavior, your competitive landscape, and then what data you do have what data you do have access to. And the whole pursuit was to build an actionable strategy. We got into a few action items in the last video, but this video is going to be centered on practical tips and takeaways, mostly tied to your paid strategy on social media, but we're going to start with a few organic tips. So one of the interesting things with the way that people use social media to research what they're going to do when they get to the destination that they're traveling in or vacationing in, or just looking to do stuff around home, is that of all the research channels, social media is the one that has seen the most significant gains. 9% of people in 2019 said they used this channel as a part of their research. 1 in 4 said they used this channel as a part of their research in 2021. So this is a year old, but my expectation is that it would be higher than 2021 now that we're heading into 2023. So the most common question that I get with organic social is, where do I post and how often should I post? The where do I post question we started to answer last time by looking at your competitive landscape. How do your posts do on different channels? Performance is a key part that should inform where you post. And the posting cadence can also be informed by data. But there's a principle here that we didn't really get into. And the principle is based on the reality that you don't have unlimited time and money. So you want to focus your efforts and have fun. If you're not enjoying your efforts on social media, or if the person who's in charge of posting on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest isn't enjoying that process, it's going to show in the way that your brand is represented on the channels. So focus on the platforms that you enjoy spending time on when you're not forced to, or not when you're not forced to, but when you're not at work, behind your desk. What are the platforms that you're in tune with? Start there, or the person that's posting for you should start there. Another principle is that, generally you're posting, if we talk about cadence and the types of posts that you put out there, should be commensurate to the opportunity. So look at your customers' behavior, basically run our process, which we did in the last video. Look at your competition, look at your data, and use that to inform how often, where you should be posting, and the types of posts that you should be putting out there. A couple general tips for organic posting, and then we're going to move into paid strategy, is the average person interacting with your brand on Facebook more than likely looks a lot different than the average person interacting with your brand on TikTok. So seek to understand who those people are. Look at how they're engaging with your posts. Look at audience insights on Facebook and Instagram. They'll give you data on the age, gender, location of the customers, what else they're engaging with on the platforms. And then what we like to do is develop a persona for each platform, or just generally for your brand, because when you're writing for a specific person, when you're posting on these platforms, it just becomes more personal and it becomes a little bit more fun as you're putting posts onto these channels, and a little bit less sort of cold, I guess. Number 2, posts should not be the the majority of your posts that you put out on social should not be to sell tours, activities, tickets, things like that. They should be social, you know. Uh, Post a picture of something that's unique on your tour, a unique photo, or if the seasons are changing and the foliage on your tour is beautiful, throw that up as a photo. Or if your employees are volunteering somewhere, maybe take a picture of that and talk about why you care about the organization that they're volunteering for. Be creative, have fun. And then number three, we've talked about this a couple times now, but use data to inform what you post about. Look at how your past posts have performed across the different channels. The ones that have a higher engagement rate, more comments, more likes, more shares, more organic reach is often a good representation of, that Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, other channels like the post and put it out in front of a lot of people for free. That's a good sign. You want to post more posts similar to that one. Don't forget about YouTube. YouTube is often an overlooked organic and sometimes paid channel. Percent of US adults who say that they've ever used one of the other channels listed on here, I think the number 2 one is Facebook, and then Instagram is below that. And then we got TikTok and Snapchat and a few others in the mix towards the bottom, which are gaining and have gained more in 2022. But 8 out of 10 US adults say that they've used YouTube recently, or that they've watched a YouTube video recently. And so it's a pretty ubiquitous platform. People use YouTube as a tool. They also use it as sort of an entertainment app. And so you want to be present on YouTube. Manage your channel, build shorts, drive visibility with this channel. An interesting study that FocusWire did looking at VRBO ad spend and where their social ad budgets went. 62% of ad impressions went to YouTube for this brand specifically, which there isn't necessarily a direct one-to-one with what VRBO is trying to do and what you're trying to do as a tour attraction or activity operator. But it's just interesting that a big company like this would spend so much of their budget and put so much of their attention on a platform like YouTube. And I think this chart might be evidence behind why they would do that. They understand that a lot of their audience, majority of their audience, is on this platform. And so if they want their brand to be visible, then YouTube is a good platform to be on. So that's it for organic tips, and a lot more that could be said, but we're going to move into paid social strategy. And this is where we're going to spend the rest of our time. The majority of my time here, I'm going to spend just going through examples of actual paid strategies that we've leaned into over the last 5 years or so as an agency. But at the outset, I kind of want to set the stage. If you're not familiar with BJ Fogg, he's a professor at Stanford, but some really good stuff, one of which is this Fogg behavioral or behavior model that really kind of gets down to the bare bones of what we're trying to do as marketers. We're trying to drive certain behaviors or actions through prompts. And those prompts need to happen or will succeed when motivation is high and the ability to take action is also high. So you could kind of think of the X and Y axis here, motivation and ability, as what you should use to inform your targeting, who you're showing ads to, and your timing when you show ads to them. Your prompts, of course, are your messages and your offers. Prompting people in the right moment with the right prompt, you're more likely to drive sort of the desired behavior. So we're not going to necessarily follow this exact sort of equation with each of our examples, but I just want you to kind of keep this model in the back of your mind as you do your paid social strategy and as we look through some of these examples. So let's dive in. A lot of our advertising, we're leveraging the season. So as you get into summer, or as you're at the tail end of summer, using that to say this is kind of your last chance to experience the outdoors before school starts, make the most of summer, can be really powerful for people. People don't want to miss out on the weather, and you can use and add timed appropriately with this message to grab their attention and motivate them towards a booking. And sometimes it may make sense, if you have excess capacity to fill, to layer on an offer here as well, to increase the ability and then drive that behavior that you're trying to inspire. Of course, the fall, particularly for outdoor tours, activities, and attractions, can be a really compelling visual time of year to leverage the foliage kind of to your advantage. If you're not doing this and your website looks like it's June and it's actually October, there may even be some questions about availability or whether you're even open or not. And so transitioning simply for the sake of clearly communicating what the tour experience is like, as well as compelling your audience, are both really important from a paid, well, and non-paid standpoint. Use the weather to your advantage. This has kind of become a core ad type at Blend over the last couple of years, but we're constantly, as the weather forecast looks good heading into the weekend, surfacing that as sort of a prompt to inspire a booking. And we've had a lot of success doing this. People are fairly in tune with the weather, but they're not accustomed to seeing it tied to an activity that they might be interested in. And the flip of this is also, or can also be true, for a lot of our clients, when it's rainy or kind of moody outside, if you can kind of read through this ad, the lines are shorter, the tour sizes are smaller. And so leveraging that to drive more demand and kind of giving people an inside peek into your operations and why they should book when it's not sunny and beautiful out, can work and has worked for a lot of our clients. You can automate a lot of these tactics using a tool like weatherads.io, where you can literally queue up creative that you serve only when the weather is forecasted to be a certain temperature or a certain level of cloudiness or sunniness. You can also spend more or less based on what the forecast is looking like. So, if the weekend's looking beautiful and you're planning on really staffing up and offering a lot more tours, and you're pretty confident you're going to have excess availability, and you do that in kind of a rhythmic, regular pattern when the weather does get nice, you can queue up an automation using weatherads.io to spend more heading into beautiful weekends like that. And you can see some examples of what we've done for 360 here. Of course, these platforms know a lot about who your customers are, and so you want to leverage what the platforms know about your audience. And so just a few examples of that. If for the people on Facebook that allow Facebook to know where they are within the app, which is a majority of people on Facebook, when that person isn't sitting at home looking at their phone, but rather are sitting somewhere else, not at home, as long as that place is more than 120 miles from home, Facebook considers them to be traveling in that location. And you can create audiences of people who are traveling in a location. They're not at home. They're more than likely on vacation in this area. And then you can build creative for that audience. And so for this client, we're targeting people who are traveling in the Charleston, South Carolina area. And we're making an assumption about that person, that they're on vacation in Charleston and looking for things to do. And so we're prompting them with that exact question. Facebook knows, again, based on what people feed back to Facebook, knows when you move to a new area. And you can build an audience of people who have recently moved to an area set a low daily budget, and just let it run. Create an offer, sort of a housewarming gift, and introduce your brand to new people in the neighborhood. This can be a really valuable way to be top of mind for people when they're looking for new things to do in a new area. Of course, Facebook, Instagram knows when your birthday is, and you can serve ads to people who have a birthday within the next 7 days or a birthday in a certain month of the year. One thing that's really important in this example and in all of these examples is that the landing page matches the messaging within your ad creative, which you can see is happening in this example. 3 other quick ones here. So advertise to couples when school is back in session. Create products, packages, date night specials for couples, and then leverage the fact that there are fewer families on your tours, fewer families on your course, in your attraction, and use that in your messaging. And there's not going to be kids running around everywhere. This is a good time for you to come out as a couple. And what we've seen for a lot of our clients too is that couples tend to look for getaways in the sort of, in the summer as well, but even more so in the fall season. And so prompting them with a specific package can be successful. This middle one here is an example of an ad that we served up to families during specific breaks. So, if there's a certain high school or middle school that has a break coming up, target that zip code and serve ads to that audience and say, we know we've got a break coming up. Come on up and do a zipline tour, do a walking tour. And then, of course, as you head into the holidays, whether it's a gift card or if you're doing sort of a holiday specific tour, make sure that your messaging is in tune with the season and not kind of tone deaf towards the season that you're heading to. And you certainly wouldn't want sort of, if you're in the northern portion of the US, for example, people in tank top and shorts walking around in your attraction or on your zipline course, if you're showing that ad to someone in December around the holiday season. So you want to make sure that your creative is in line with the season. This is one of my personal favorites, pretty simple to set up. So as long as you're tracking add to carts as a custom event in Facebook or tied to your Facebook pixel, and purchases tied to your Facebook pixel, you can target people that add something to their cart but don't end up purchasing. That represents someone who's pretty primed to purchase, right? For some reason, they decided, whether it's price or they didn't find the tour that they were looking for, they want to go and talk to their friends a little bit more, but they're close to making that purchase. You want to stay in front of them from an ads or from a paid standpoint. And you can pretty inexpensively, this audience is generally a fairly small audience as far as audiences go, pretty inexpensively stay in front of them. And there's a lot that you could do here. You can serve up ads that say like, hey, you left this in your cart, take it across the finish line, and send them directly to their cart with the book now button. You can give them an offer. If you think that price was the main reason that they abandoned their cart, you can give them $10 off, $15 off, and see what that does to conversion rate and your return on ad spend. A couple of paid TikTok tips, and then we'll be done. So, TikTok advertising is in its infancy. We've been doing this for, probably like 6 months or so now, in October of 2022. But there are some things that are unique about this platform that are worth mentioning and leveraging as you look to make the most of TikTok's paid capabilities. One interesting one is day parting isn't a new strategy. You can do this on Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms. But one of the things that TikTok brings to the table is this heat map, which shows you conversion rate based on the time of day that the person was looking at your ad. So, for example, and you can look at click-through rate, you can look at add to cart rate. In this example, we're looking at conversion rate. So we can see that right around midnight on Wednesday, conversion rate was really strong. Right around 1 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, for some reason, conversion rate was strong. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning. And so over time, you really have to let time do its work here. You're going to start to notice some patterns around when people are more likely to convert, more likely to click. And if you want to, you can only show ads during those, 30-minute, 1 hour periods throughout the day. So if you notice that you have a really strong conversion rate on Monday morning, Thursday afternoon, and then maybe all weekend long, you can tell TikTok only run ads during those periods that we see strong conversion rates. There are some downsides to doing this. The other approach is just to kind of believe in the algorithm to do this on your behalf, which can be as successful. But if you really see some strong patterns, I think is the principle here. It's worth leveraging that data to only show ads when those strong patterns are occurring. The other one is looking at conversion rate, cost per click, click-through rate by operating system, so iOS versus Android versus iPad. And if you see, again, nothing really jumping out in this particular example, but let's say conversion rate was twice as high on Android versus iOS. That might mean a couple different things. It might mean that you should spend more on Android. It also might mean that you need to change your creative, your messaging, your offer for iOS users. So there's lots of different next steps that you can take, but it's an interesting data point that TikTok gives you. And then you can build creatives specific to, this isn't unique to TikTok, but you can, as a result of what you see, build creative unique to the different operating systems. Last kind of TikTok tip that we have been starting to do this more and more for our clients, but this is kind of, there are sort of ways to do this on other platforms, but TikTok will allow you to show ads to people who have watched videos with certain hashtags. So if you have a hashtag that you've created as a brand, even if other people create videos and then use your hashtag, you can remarket to the people that watch videos that have posts or that mention those hashtags within the video post. And then if there's relevant hashtags that other brands have created or other influencers have created, and there's videos out there with lots of views racking up on those videos, you can target people who watch those videos that have these hashtags. And you can layer geo-targeting on top of this. If you only wanted to show ads to people who are in Chicago, who have engaged with videos with these hashtags on them, that's something that you can do. So again, a lot more we can mention from a TikTok on the TikTok side of things, but we'll stop there. One last tip that we've had some success with is anyone with a Facebook pixel can share data with you as long as you also have a Facebook pixel and business manager. And DMOs exist for your success, basically, right? Like their jobs are to make you more successful, fill up your tours. And so what we found is that when you ask your DMO to, we've had some success with this, not 100%, we're not batting 1,000. But if your DMO has a pixel on their site and they're building audiences based on engagement on their website or engagement on their social channels, they can share those audiences back with you, and then you can remarket to people that visit the DMO website or that engage with a video that they've posted. And it can be a pretty easy way to engage audiences that have a high affinity for your area and potentially for your tour activity or attraction. Doing this is pretty simple. You can do it right inside of Audience Manager. Generally, the best way to do this quickly is just to ask your DMO to create some audiences, either specific for you, or if they've already created a series of audiences, they can literally go in here and check the audiences that they want to share with you. And then click share, targeting and insights, and you'll have to share your business ID with them. But as long as they have your business ID, or ad account ID, I'm sorry, they can share these audiences over with you. And anytime they want to, they can take that back and kind of remove your ability to target their audiences. So, sometimes they'll ask for, a lot of times it's a partnership, and you're paying to do native advertising on their website. And so this can be a revenue generating opportunity for a lot of DMOs out there. And they might ask for money, but it's often worth doing, because this is a really powerful audience that you can show ads to. So that concludes part 5. Parts 6 and 7 are going to be focused on making the most of your website to drive direct booking. So from a conversion rate optimization standpoint, we've talked a lot about getting people to your website, whether it's Google organic and paid and social organic and paid. So we're going to spend the last 2 parts of this series on, now that they're there, how do we get them to convert? So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.